Welcome back to Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai 2017. This is day 2, and I gotta say, day 1 was probably the best that we have ever had to open an IEM.
That's the most Autosis intro I've ever heard, and I agree with it. I like it.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of everything, you know, favorites delivering. We saw TY doing really well, but then a few upsets here and there. Ayasunu taking out Gumiho like in convincing fashion, and then later on taking out Stats as well. One of these upsets, like that would have been all right, like one of those can happen, but 2,
yeah,
and a Chinese player here in China making top 8 already. I mean, as much as he's probably going to get butchered in a round of 8, it's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know. After beating 2 GSL champions, what do you want?
No, it was awesome, Dan. I totally agree. Normally, day 1, it's just like, all right, we show up, we do our job, and we're lucky we have a couple of good games that we can talk a little bit about, and we hype them up. But yesterday was just badass, man. Like, Dark as well, being really pushed to the limit by Bunny. As Dark is kind of like my Zerg to go to in this tournament, I really hoped that he would have a good run. He was on the ropes on that second game on Odyssey, and I don't think there's any other Zerg there that would have somehow clawed his way back out of it. It was just really cool to see.
Definitely got to agree with you, and today is going to be just as good, I think. These groups are the ones that are super stacked that we were thinking were the groups of death. Of course, you see these players getting ready right now, doing a little bit of practice. I was looking over Maru's shoulder, saw a lot of Reaper play going on in his TVTs, but this is going to be just ridiculous. Groups C and D. We'll go over those in just a couple of minutes here. But we definitely do still have to review yesterday a little bit more.
Every time I look over Maru's shoulder, all I see is Bjorn, who's hugging him.
I know. They are very close friends, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Bjorn is not confident actually going to this matchup. Like, it's just the way he's been behaving, you know, like climbing on the back of Maru and stuff, trying to break him down physically. I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, I'm good in other matchups, but TVT is really like where I struggle the most. So definitely looking forward to that one and see if he can put up a good fight against a Maru that just, no matter what, always does the same face. That guy does not have a care in the world.
Yeah, well, he
like
might
you
in
versus
this
the
group,
Maru
though.
she told you not to worry about.
Well, you know, yesterday was a pretty crazy day. Let's talk about that a little bit more before we break down that Group D that you guys have been talking about a bit. Of course, in Group A, Dark and TY making it out. And I got to agree with you, Rotterdam. I don't think that there is another player in the world that would have won that game on Odyssey against Bunny as Dark did.
No, it was awesome. I mean, you look at the results, right? You see TY winning the group, Dark second. You're like, I didn't miss a thing. Can I just skip? No, don't skip. Go back if you miss those games. It was super cool to see. And you could really see that Dark was just channeling his inner beast.
And that guy here, Ayasunu, absolutely relieved. He's been working very hard for this, you know, like some of these guys that don't get as much spotlight as some other players. But Ayasunu, I can tell you, he's one of those guys that trains super hard and that doesn't always get the results that he would like. So for him to make a top 8 here in his homeland is a great story already, and I hope for him it will continue. Even though when I looked at the groups yesterday, I was like, oh, that's great. He's making round of 8. He's gonna play first place finisher from one of those 3 other groups. And I look at the names in there, I was like, congratulations, you made top 8, but
well,
it's going to be really tough.
Todd, come on, Todd. He beat Gumiho and Stats, who beat all those other guys that are going to be up, you know, to play against Ayasunu. He's already taken out the 2 GSL champions.
Like, if I have to be an Ayasunu fan, I'd say I hope for an opponent of Group C, I think. I think that's the best thing for him, where he most likely will get a Zerg or a Protoss.
Oh, yeah, like, not Group D.
And I think that's ideal. You don't want to get TY, or you don't really want to get Inno or Maru or Bjorn, whoever is going to win that incredibly scary group. It's possible. I agree with you there. Let's not count him out. He won 2.
Yeah.
He won against 2 GSL champs, and the way that he also lost that first game against Stats and then still bounced back, that shows that he's more than just a good player. He's mentally very strong as well, because I would have left game 2 after 3 minutes if I didn't win that game 1.
Oh, yeah. No, I would have thought that that was just over at that point.
I would have forfeited the tournament because he was too hot.
And people are hyped right now, man. Already showing up early in the morning. I saw people running in as soon as they opened the doors towards this stage. Knowing, you know, time does play today, but let's take a look at that schedule and really go over at what you guys are going to be seeing on the stage coming up. Groups C and D are going to be played. We're going to open up with Hero vs. Solar on the main stage. And of course, we're going to have our other match, Sue vs. Time. That's going to be played on the laptop with Roddy. We're going to get into that as much as we possibly can. And of course, we have, you know, Bjorn versus Maru, Innovation versus Trust going on at the same time. Then we'll go into some winners matches, some decider matches. So very much a similar schedule to yesterday, but going to be trying as hard as we can to get a lot of extra footage out of that laptop.
Yeah, I'll keep a close eye, and I'm really curious to see how well a Chinese human player, we've been hanging out with the Warcraft kids yesterday. A Chinese Terran player will do going up against Su, who's obviously just an animal. There's no other way to describe Su. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited for this day. I find it very, very tough to predict group winners today. I have no idea. I think yesterday TY was, obviously quite an obvious pick. Group B was a little bit surprising, perhaps, with Rogue, but today I think it's impossible.
Does Su really lose before the finals, though? Or does he? Does the second place thing applies in the group as well?
Yeah, I don't know. Look at this group. You tell me, Todd. Su, Hero, Solar, Time. What does this group's layout look like going through this?
Su first and Solar second.
Oh, it just looks exactly like that? Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Todd. You think Hero doesn't have a shot here? What about Time? We've been underestimating some of these guys that we don't get to watch as much.
I definitely think Time is going to make some very, very fun games, but I don't think he's good enough to make it out of a group that stacked. Hero, on the other end, absolutely. But with Hero, you just never know. He's not as clean as like a Zest or a Stats in his prime, but he gets scrappy and he somehow makes it work. So obviously, I would never count Hero out. I mean, this is still his stomping ground as well. Let's be honest.
That is
He's
true.
the triple, three-time IEM champion, and Group D, well.
What is this? Like, seriously, who made these groups?
Yeah, it's Apollo for sure. I mean, blame him. But to have 3 horsemen in one group, does Trust have any chance here?
No. Let's be honest.
I hope
but
for Trust he had some good
if I asked you guys yesterday about Ayasanu, and you're like, well, he's a good player, but no, he doesn't really have a chance. And then he gets right out of the group. So am I to believe you again?
I think this time you should really believe
Oh, okay.
I mean, and obviously we'd love to be wrong. I think that's the beautiful thing of StarCraft, right? We all watch it and play it so much, and to see us still be so surprised by somebody like Ayasonu, I think that's only awesome. Like, that doesn't make me sad, like, oh, we were wrong. Like, no, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome for the kid. If Trust somehow takes, like, top 2 in this group, well, then I think I'll just go back to the drawing board because I know nothing about StarCraft.
I mean, it is certainly a tough group there in Group D. Do you guys think this is the group of death?
Yeah.
By far.
Absolutely.
So the 2 GSL champions fall out of Group B, but that can't become the group of death now?
I mean, it was stacked, but this, I mean, you say it, 3 of the big 4. I mean,
it is true. Those Korean Terrans are like kind of, we have a certain reverence for them because it's just like...
It feels like those 3 names belong in top 4, even though like the tournament's super stacked, but now it's like one of them will not even make the round of 8.
Yeah. And
absolute insanity.
We haven't been talking that much about the WCS points, but for Bjorn, this is so damn important as well. Like, I'm a big Bjorn fan, obviously, and he needs to make it out of this group. He needs to have a good run here.
And it's a really tough one for him. Like I said, he mentioned his TVT was a little bit of a struggle. He faces Maru first, against whom he has like a pretty bad record. It's 1-4, so we'll see if he can work some magic here. At times, he's been able to surprise people and do really well when we didn't necessarily expect him to win tournaments.
Yeah, well, he needs to, as Roddy was saying, because his points are not measuring up right now. Maru's had some good runs, getting top 4 in GSL. We've seen Innovation doing well, winning Gyeonggi last season of IEM, but that counts WCS-wise towards this year's BlizzCon. So Bjorn is really kind of the guy lagging out of all the horsemen.
Yeah, it's really do or die for Bjorn. And I mean, he is our defending global finals champion. Won last year at BlizzCon. I think that was a beautiful tournament. The final was fantastic. I think till, nobody plays StarCraft 2 anymore, which hopefully is like 20 years from now, people will still be talking about Bjorn vs. Dark of that finals. And I want to see at least give him the chance to defend that trophy.
All right, well, I hope we get to see that. But let's go back to Group C because we are about to have that match begin here. Of course, we're going to have Solar against Hero, and that is such a sick match. What do you guys think about Solar versus Hero?
I think both of them are maybe a little bit underrated as of late because they haven't posted as much results as they used to, especially in foreign tournaments. They used to attend quite a bit of those. But I'm pretty excited for it. I feel like these are like the guys that you think of below the current like absolute top Zergs and Protosses currently, and definitely are very high up there in terms of guys that might be able to very easily, make the semis or even take it all the way. Like Hero, so much history with the Intel Extreme Masters, from multiple time champion, and then he returns here. After the last few were a little bit disappointing for sure, and I think he's looking to try and leave his mark on this one for sure.
Okay.
Look at that cap. I love it, Dan.
I have that hat.
Protoss, little Protoss support for
That's
Hero.
right. Well, I mean, it's you guys are telling me Trust is not making out. So, Roddy, does Hero take down Solar here? Because if he doesn't, going to that loser match, that is a hard climb out of this group.
I honestly don't know. I think this one is like, it's almost silly to call it 50-50, but I do think he can make it out. Obviously, winning the first best of 3 would be awesome, but then there is a good chance you go up against Su, assuming Su is going to beat Time, but can we really assume that? I don't even know. Time, obviously, you know, an excellent player, and he's been practicing hard, and he's playing in China, might give him wings. I don't know. It's hard to predict this group, but I do think we're going to see Hero in the quarters.
Okay.
DX Master is killing it.
Oh, I mean, DX Master is the greatest. We were talking over, should we have someone on stage to introduce DX Master? I say yes, I say it's Caleres.
Should we bring him to foreign tournaments even though there is no Chinese?
Yes,
and he does like
absolutely.
Chinese intros and
You kidding me? You think he can't get that Polish crowd pumped up? Absolutely.
For sure.
Of course, Hero and Solar, two of our most charismatic Korean pros for sure. This match is going to be just madness. Final predictions from you guys as far as this match in particular.
it's a tough one. I feel like it's going to be a 2-1. Either way, it's very close, but I'm going to go for Solar. I'm feeling a little
Solar,
bit more
okay.
Well, then, since he's going for Solar, I'll go for a 2-1 for Hero, but I also think this is going to be close. I think this is going to be a bloodbath when it comes to the workers. Solar is probably going to kill a lot of probes. Hero is going to probably kill even more drones.
Okay, I can go with that one. Hero a little bit confused there about where to go. Off to your booth, Hero. We want to get these matches started ASAP. Of course, Roddy, you are going to be inside of Su versus Time that we're going to be bringing up.
I'm inside of it right now, Dan, and it feels good.
All right. We'll be checking into that after game 1, no doubt about that.
All right.
And what do you guys think about that? Does Time have a shot?
I think a tiny shot. I mean, if Ayasonu can do it, I don't see any reason why Time wouldn't be able to play well here. But I do always think as a Terran, it's really hard to outperform a Zerg that is considered to be better than you, because Zerg is just an overwhelming race to go up against if your opponent is better, because it feels like they see everything, it feels like they have all the map control. So he needs to play his heart out, but let's not count him out. I mean, he's a Codas player as well.
That's true. That is true, and he actually put up a pretty good fight. Don't forget, Time is a young guy. He's still up and coming, so I think his potential is not reached even yet, but these guys definitely have reached their potential, I would say. I think that Hero is on fire. Solar, as you guys say, is underrated. This match is going to be madness.
Yeah, actually, like, I really wonder, even past like whoever makes it out of this group, how well these guys are going to be able to do. Because like if you look at all the names in the tournament, it's like very easy to pick, you know, the guys like Bjorn, Innovation, Maru, as like the guys that are going to do really well. TY, Dark, and all that. Su. But in the case of these guys, they're kind of looking for bigger results than what they've had, and this is a good chance here for them to get just that, maybe score some cash and some more WCS points as well.
Well, it's sad one of them has to beat the other one, but that's the way it is. We're going to throw it over to our casting duo now. Couple of British dudes, Caleres and Wardy, take this match away.
Cheeky.
Thank you very much, Artosis. It's time as Hero enters his 10th Intel Extreme Masters. I'm here alongside Wardy to bring you all the action. It's been a long time since two Brits have sat next to each other in a premier event. Wardy, how have you been doing?
I've been doing very well. Super excited to kick off day 2 of the Intel Extreme Masters here in Shanghai with such a great matchup. Hero versus Solar. What more could we ask for?
It's going to be good. All right, spawning up to the top right-hand corner, representing Team Root in the blue, it is Hero. 3 Intel Extreme Masters titles to his name. That infamous second place where he lost 100,000 to SOS.
How can anyone forget that? As we have to the bottom left-hand side of Sequence our first map here today, it's going to be from Splice. It's Solar.
Plenty of Intel Extreme Masters experience under his belt as well. And as they were mentioning on desk, something that is very important for these two in this tournament are WCS points. Solar currently in WCS Korea sits at 11th. So he really wants to be breaking into that top 8. But Hero, as much as he sits at 7th place right now, that's not a secure spot for BlizzCon down the line.
No, it really, really isn't. Top 8 make that cut into BlizzCon. And of course, if you're sitting 7th with a season of GSL still to wrap up, the most competitive StarCraft 2 tournament in the world, aside from maybe IEM perhaps this weekend. It's not a safe place to be. So both of these guys, I mean, if Solar has a great performance, he could even be knocking Hero down and out of those rankings. So much on the line here this weekend for these two players and so many others. And it makes this first match of the day so much more exciting.
Yeah, it's very, very good to get this, and we'll see how Hero's going to approach it. He's been a very storied character in the last couple of years, of course. We remember him as taking those Intel Extreme Masters titles, playing very standard and kind of safe, but as of late, it's been more of a scrappy Hero in the past year. But recently, with wins in Korea, he's gotten more stable, I would say.
Yeah, Hero's a player who sometimes he shows up and he wins everything. For example, GSL Super Tournament earlier this year, he looked fantastic, playing aggressively all day long. And then, you know, some days he shows up and his proxy oracles get scouted and he doesn't know what to do anymore. So it's a little bit of he's a tough one to call. And against Solar especially, someone who's also so on and off. One day he wins SSL, the next you're like, is Solar in form or not?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see who's going to actually show up for both of these players to this tournament. So, well, we're about to find out because this first game is getting underway. Nothing crazy, nothing wacky in the first couple of minutes. Just standard setups here on a fairly standard map for both players as well.
Hero has still a lot of options available to him. Soulblade wants to have a bit of a poke in, but it's not going to see too much. So Twilight Council's going to go down right at the back for this. So when that used to be for a long time, the move into the Robo facility afterwards, and a Dark Shrine for the DTs, and then Archon Morphin, it can also now be for the big charge lot play. But
yeah, there's so many ways you can play off the Twilight Council, and that's what's so scary about a Twilight build. It could still be a Dark Shrine and Archon drops. It could be, some people have even been going like a faster Templar Archives and doing like a later Archon drop and sort of things. There's so much you can do. Resonating Glaives is viable, Charge Lot all-ins, or just, again, you can also like Glaive Harass. We do see the Robo going down. Let's see if something starts up off the Twilight or whether it is just going to be the Dark Shrine being built. As it stands, either are still kind of a real possibility here.
Yeah, probably going to be that Dark Shrine going down in just a few moments' time. It would be nice to see how that harassment's going to go on. That probe at the front has probably seen the third base. There's the Dark Shrine as well on the way now for Hero. So happy times as we now check out how Solar is going to be approaching the start of this game, Wardy.
Yeah, this is a super cool time to kind of see what Solar's kind of looking at actually, because he's going in with that Overlord to scout, and you can see how quickly he just pops in, pops out. You know, he isn't wasting too much time there while just keeping on top of everything back at home. He had those couple of Zerglings poking the front as well. Again, right now, everything for Solar is about picking up information. That's why he invested into that pneumatized Carapace, giving himself that Overlord speed. It keeps that Overlord alive there. And Solar just going to ask for a quick pause here to sort something out. As, well, again, so far, everything looking so good. I mean, he just dropped down an Evo Chamber as well, so he's looking towards most likely a +1 melee in this matchup. It is a little bit of interesting because I think he has scouted that Dark Shrine. And he hasn't got a Roach Roaring just yet. And playing against Archons with just Lings is very dangerous compared to getting a few Roaches out, which are just that little bit more stable.
So one of the questions, Wardy, that we always had like 2 years ago or so when Hero would enter an Intel Extreme Masters would be, is he going to win it? And here again, I'm going to ask you the same question, but unfortunately for Hero, he's not in the same position he really was that long ago when he was a big clear favorite in Intel Extreme Masters all the time.
I mean, going into this, I think Hero's one of the last people you pick to win. Maybe not the last people, but say if you pick 8 people to win,
right,
he's probably in there, but at the lower end of the table. I think right now people are looking at TY. People are looking at, well, people were looking at Gumiho until he got knocked out as well, I suppose. But TY, Bjorn, Innovation, those Terran players have been so scary recently. And even Su, you know, I mean, I know he has this curse in the finals, but he is someone who can show up and win weekend events, as he's shown us in Kesper Cups in the past. So Hero, for me, can go all the way, but it would be one heck of a run. I mean, anyone's run's going to be one heck of a run, but it'd be really a heck of a run considering how he's been doing lately.
Yeah, I kind of got to agree with you. It would be nice to see him raise another trophy here at the Intel Extreme Masters, but it's going to be fraught with danger. It's going to be a long road for someone like Hero here. As much as, yeah, he did claim an SSL, etc. As of late. Yeah, could be. Or was it the Super Tournament? It was the Super Tournament that he claimed, right?
Hero.
Yeah,
Hero got the GSL Super Tournament.
Yeah.
Solar made it to the finals of SSL, right?
Right, yeah. And then played Innovation.
Never fun.
No.
Never fun.
Indeed, here is Hero just biding his time as this pause does continue on. I'm not sure exactly what problems Solar is having, but if we do get updates, we'll keep you guys up to date as well at home.
Here in Solar, again, like these two players who are just so evenly matched, I think, you know?
Yeah, I would say that.
They really can just, like, take maps off each other all the time. Like, they'll be the players who will go, like, if you have a best of 5, a best of 7, it's going to go to 5 games. It's going to go to 7 games. I mean, they were saying on the desk they're expecting 2-1s here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got to agree with them. How does one of these players pick up a 2-0? It'd be very difficult, I think.
Head-to-head of 21 and 17 between these two. So, very close indeed, as to a point, Wardy. But Solar looking to... Oh, I think we're going to regame, actually.
Yep, looks like it. All right, so it'll just be a couple of minutes here while we get this figured out. No real issue, of course. Hopefully it's something that just maybe Solar needed a reset for hotkeys or something. I'm not 100% sure, but...
How's your time been joining the old boys club on a scale of 1 to Nathanius, Wardy?
On a scale of 1 to Nathanius? Shouldn't it be a Nathanius to 10?
No,
It's been great, man. Super happy to be here. Super happy to be an old boy now. You know, I've infiltrated. I'm going to start kicking you guys out, getting my new boy buddies in. Slowly. No, it's been a lot of fun. I'm super happy to be here. Shanghai's been pretty hot. I think that's a pretty easy thing to say. I think everyone agrees. We've been spending a lot of time in the hotel or next to a fan and trying not to be outside.
I must admit, you didn't come into your first premiere event at the easiest of locations.
No, you could say that. I mean, we got events around the world like Valencia and all over the place. And Shanghai, you know, it's a bit far away. It's only a casual 40 degrees every day. It's interesting.
Especially for us Brits.
Yeah.
That 40 degrees, that's crushing.
Well, fortunately for me, I was in some sunny places for the last couple of weeks, so I got a little bit used to it prior to the onslaught of the sun here.
That's true, actually. You were, I was about to say, following us around.
Yeah, I've just been stalking you guys.
You were in Valencia, and then you came back to Germany over our way. Then you came here to Shanghai. Did you fly straight from Germany?
I did. I've been away from home for a good 3 weeks now.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. Missing that English rain, you know.
Oh, indeed. I love it. And I miss it a lot, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, when you're in Shanghai especially.
Yeah. Only the English rain. Please bring me that back. That'd be nice.
If we could just transport the weather from England to Shanghai for just for a couple of hours, that'd be nice. We could actually go out and do something in Shanghai instead of just, you know, going to sleep.
Normally we bring the rain with us. Every time I go over to California, like the last time I was there at the start of the year, it rained like nothing, and they all blamed me. So I was content with that.
Typical, absolutely typical. All right, there's that trophy which one of these players is hoping to lift up this weekend, of course. And I mean, as we've been saying, it could be either of them. Hero, Solar. But man, what a road ahead. Already 4 great players in the round of 8. Ayasonu took down 2 GSL champs. We've already had Dark and TY advancing through as well. And Rogue, a little bit of an odd one, but has been on the rise lately. Definitely not someone you'll want to meet in the round of 8 either.
All right, we're going to go head over to the desk here whilst we get this re-game going. So we'll see you in just a few moments' time.
All right, guys. Yeah, there might be a little delay on that main stage event, but we have the laptop with Rotterdam. Time versus Sue is going on. Kevin, start filling us in as we throw that up.
Yep, game number 1 is being played on Odyssey, and early game it was just very rough for Time. You could see that he was not truly on point. The Hellions were disconnected from one medevac, lost a few too many Hellions, had one Banshee flies in, you see the cloak timer, 2-1, and with 1 second to go, there's like above 4 queens, it dies, so like it couldn't even activate cloak. So it was just very rough. But somehow we're right now in a scenario where he's maxed out. Is it looking good? No, absolutely not. Let's go fast. If we can jump to my game real quick, that would be awesome.
Let's do it.
Because we've got a game.
There we go.
Deciding fight with Zerglings and Banelings rolling forward, but in the end it seems like well, Sue had enough. A few more Marines maybe streaming in. But yeah, overall it's just been a rough game for Time. During all of this, Sue was also counterattacking, so this fight had to win the game for Time. As you can see, Lynx over here ravaging this base. Just wasn't meant to be. Early game was just not clean enough. When you go up against somebody like Sue, you cannot open with 8 Hellions and Cloak Banshee and do absolutely 0 damage. And that's what it was, 0 damage.
But after that 0 damage, the fact that we're 12 minutes in and he's, you know, got some formidable armies and trying to do some damage to Sue at that point. I mean, I feel like Time is one of these up-and-coming guys that in 2-3 years we'll see at BlizzCon. Maybe he's not quite ready yet, but like he made GSL Code S. That's a big deal. He played well during it too.
Exactly. He didn't just make it to Code S. He performed well. Like he took maps off some of the best in the whole world, which is, you know, not many of us can say that we've got that on their resume there. So that's a good little sign there for Time. And I mean, there was a few unfortunate moments in that game. I saw that, you know, he was very stressed out during that big battle, trying to micro that because he lost his CC actually to the Ling run by. Like he didn't lift it or anything like that. It just straight up died to those Lings. But at that point, he was pretty dead.
Very rough when that happens. All right, it looks like we are ready once again for the main match. So back to the casters.
All right, thanks very much for your patience out there as we get back into Hero versus Solar. Things are getting steady now. It's getting steady on.
Yeah, just a quick recap of what happened. We just saw that Dark Shrine coming down, looking to be those Archon drops early, and Solar just playing that +1 melee, no Rotron, so Ling Bane only. The Bane Nest just dropping down right now. He is getting a Dropper Lord going, so Solar looking for some aggression, while Hero is also looking to be out on the map. His first 4 DTs warped in that prism and moving to the bottom left.
Yeah, does he even have a layer morphing in or anything? Did he get Spore Crawlers? He has a few Spore Crawlers set up, so he does have a bit of detection for this, but if all of his units other than Queens are over the other side, that does present problems.
That's definitely where it becomes a problem, where you've got the spores, but suddenly the DTs target one down straight away, and then the main base, there's no units, and all the drones are going to have to get us around, and they do, sort of. Well, yeah, some drones are going to... Well, no, the Spore Core is going to fall down. This main base is going to be in trouble. Oh, Yachium goes and tries to reposition, but it won't be enough. Spore down, and Solar is in a lot of trouble in the main.
No, really needs to kind of have the whole position on those drones around that Spore Crawler, but that would have been even a little bit dangerous as well. He's actually realizing his hatchery in the main base is going to die off, so he starts morphing in his layer in elsewhere. But there's 3 more Dark Templars on the way. Hold position, drones. Hold position for your life as the main base has fallen.
Wow, I mean, Heroes is getting so much damage done here. He will lose these CTs, which is a little bit of a shame, but the main base going down is so detrimental to the rest of Solar's game plan. He's going to lose the spawn pool as well, and when he's playing Ling Bane, what do you do without a spawning pool?
Not too much. This is all over the place. Unfortunately for Solar, he really got the wrong end of this stick, and now he's trying to defend this location with the layer. There's not even a Spore Crawler started just yet. Now it just does begin.
I mean, meanwhile, Solar did kill off 8 probes on the other side of the map, but even that isn't really enough to make up for losing an entire base as a Zerg player, especially when you had to cancel your lair being halfway morphed in. You lose the spawning pool. Solar really can't do anything right now. He's morphing in 4 Banes to drop into the main in a moment or so, as we still see those Archons and Warp Prism moving around as well. So, I mean, Hero's doing more and more damage. Solar's going to try and do a bit more, but is it really going to be enough? It'll be difficult as the Warp Prism just gets away.
That one Queen at the bottom, sharking around, looking for it. It's going to fall. Not too bad a pick-off. Get a few drones with that overall. And now it's going to have those Overlords. There was another one moving into position to drop to try and do some damage. But there's plenty of Adepts there.
I mean, Hero sees this as well. There's no way he's going to let the probes just die to this Overlord, right? So the best thing for Solar right now is to maybe try and force the probes to pull away for a moment or so. Well, actually, Hero's not doing anything. I mean, there's no +2 melee, so it will take 2 Banes per kill. But look at this, Hero! No response at all, and that's 9 workers. Solar still finding some damage here, but is he going to have enough to defend against all of these Adepts? So many coming across the map. There's so many warping in already. I mean, he's getting a few Banes up, but will it be enough, Killaris?
17 Adepts at the moment against this. As long as he splits them, pre-splits them against it, should have a bit of an easier time. Shades forward, having a little bit of a look around, sees how many Banelings are actually there, but they don't have centrifugal hooks. It's nowhere near done, nowhere near completion.
Yeah, no, and you can see Hero just growing into that little bit of a choke point there, just to make it even worse. He'll try and split up a little bit against a few of these Banes coming through, as we see Solar desperately going to be trying to defend this here. He's going to be all over the place. Those Adepts go to the bottom right to find a couple drones as well.
And a base.
Yeah, and a base. That's where Solar expanded after losing his main.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can't get drones there, so what? 5, 6 more workers have just gone down, and it's just more and more damage, which is just putting Hero further and further ahead as the game continues.
Yeah, plenty of Adepts, 17 at the moment. The fact that the Adepts outnumber the Lings with 15 Banelings that are now in, it's, as long as he actually splits them properly, with more Dark Templars working on the main base.
Wow, I mean, this is going to do damage because there is one Overseer up, but I have no idea where it is. It's all the way up towards the third, so the main's going to go down again. The 4 DTs get evacuated, and at the same time, Adepts are back in the third. Hero is not giving Solar the opportunity he wants to try and stabilize, to try and get back into this. And while Hero back at home doesn't have a lot of tech, he's only on DTs and Adepts with Glaives. He's just now starting up an Immortal, he's just now throwing down the Forge, but he's done so much damage, he can completely justify this position.
No, you're right. I mean, with the Forge only going down now, the focus wasn't truly on late game for Hero, but, as you say, he did enough damage, and now he's probably going to even look for more here, with another Archon morphing in, looking to put some pressure on in the main base. But it feels like the Adepts can't really do anything anymore, with the amount of Lings that are out, with the some Banelings that are there as well.
Yeah, Solar's been able to just about mass up enough units where, realistically, the Adepts alone aren't going to be able to do enough because they're just going to get surrounded. Banes are in too high a number, it's too risky. These Archon drops are still great, though. It keeps the Zerg at home, it keeps the Zerg busy, and with the Warp Prism there, as long as you're not underneath Hydras, which you shouldn't be, you're going to be able to get away. It's costing you nothing to, again, just keep Solar in a really difficult position.
All right, so Immortal's looking to reinforce at the front. Don't know where that one's going. Might want to stick back here for a moment while Hero builds up his army. And pushing this Overlord away is nice.
Yeah, just making sure those Banes aren't going to do even further damage. I do feel Hero could have defended those Banes here and there a little bit better. Like, especially that Overlord he saw in the natural that went all the way to the main and he did nothing against. Immortals is still on the way across the map as well, as we do see those Archons. Again, just doing some little bits and pieces. This Immortal, what's he going to do? No! This is not your home.
Okay, he realizes.
Go back to Aya. You know, he comes in and kills the creep tumor. Wow.
At least he has the Warp Prism to save him, I suppose.
He can do a little bit of juggling there with the units to keep them alive, which is pretty sick. As we do see those 2 Banes rolling in, and again, Hero doesn't quite see it in time. Now he does. He splits away, but then he stacks it up. 9 more workers. Yeah. Good damage.
Man, sacrificing an Archon there to save the Immortal. So wants a more rounded composition to be safe, but this one as well. All right, Hero, steady on, fella. These Immortals ain't gonna save themselves.
Yeah, I think he needs to kind of be a little bit more careful with that. That said, though, Hero's getting to the stage of the game he's going to be very comfortable with playing forwards from. Charge has just finished up, +1's about to finish too. And while Solar does have that +2 melee, the Banes are going to be very dangerous, especially in Mineral Lines now. They one-shot probes. Hero is still setting up exactly where he wants to be, and a huge army currently down to the south side of Hero. He's even warping in more Stalkers here, ready to push on through. And Solar, he's got Lings, he's got Banes, he's got Hydras, but does he have enough of it?
I like that he was trying to buy some time with extra drops that were going up to the top, because against that kind of army, you certainly have to. Thankfully, he has quite a few Banelings here, but this army is quite strong, and it has force fields available.
I love the idea of lifting up the Banes into Overlords. The problem is the Stalkers in this army, which means realistically, it's not going to be as devastating as it might be against just pure charged Immortal Archon. And so right now, Hero is doing everything he needs. As again, Solar's doing a great job. Look at this, another 8 workers going down. He's still attacking, he's still harassing, doing whatever he can to pull himself back in. But Hero's position up this ramp is just so strong.
Yeah, could probably kill him below there, as Hero, once these force fields dissipate, he's encroaching on some very good territory here for the Zerg to actually go for this fight, and he will get himself a nice concave here, not doing too badly. The Banelings filter through against this, but they're really not doing too much. Here come the drones off the line as well, and Solar is having to retreat from this position.
Yeah, I mean, for a moment there, Solar killed all the sentries. I was like, maybe, but then you realize just how many Zealots are continuing to warp in from that prism in the back. The Hydras can't reach them, and now the Hydras are kind of on their own. There is a lot of them, though. The prism goes down, and all of a sudden, Hero is not going to have reinforcements. Everything disappears, and Hero has been cleaned up.
He had to sacrifice 22 drones for that, but he held it off, and he did enough economic damage behind all of that to try and even things up, but it's still 64 workers against 42 right now. So Solar needs to find some damage damage with these Hydras, but it's very difficult with only 9 Hydras over the other side of the map on a big map like Sequencer.
The problem is if this was any other map other than Sequencer, Hero has a very high chance of just dying to the counterattack. He was on 6 army supply after this. Sequencer, no creep sped because of how the game has gone. There's no way Solar gets to the northern side, and because of that, Solar is sat here now kind of still at home, just droning up, trying to play catch-up still. I mean, Hero's been unharassed. I mean, there's been a couple of Banes, but his 4th base has gone up completely scot-free. You know, the Temple Archives is down. He's able to start transitioning into the Storm and get everything LP really does need to make sure he has the perfect composition against Hydra Ling Bane.
Now that one Ling was spotting, sees the healthiness of that base, while there was another potential Overlord drop coming in. But there's nothing on that natural. He's actually killed off so many workers at that natural that he's coming in again and saying, I guess there's 3 workers here I can get. I don't know.
He's dropping his natural every single time, it feels like. It's like being the one target. He does end up killing another 10 probes, which, I mean, okay, fair enough. It's still good damage. I mean, Solar needs it to get back into this. As we do see 4 Banes to the left side as well, getting set up. A Drop Lord heading over. Is spotted by Hero, though. That Warp Prism getting a little bit of vision for him as he sets up his own harassment, of course, getting ready to warp in down there.
All right, another drop up to the top left here for Solar, getting geared up and good to go as Hero looks to pose a threat with this Warp Prism, but it's already scouted out by the Hydralisks, so can't really do too much. There's 2 Stalkers. Are they enough to shut this down?
They'll be able to kind of tag it away. I mean, by the time you get to the mineral line, the overall's going to be so low. Maybe get 1 Bane out, but the probes are going to pull away as well. You're better off going in at a later point, as we see. Looks to be another Bane drop or Ling drop just going to be set up over there. That overall getting in position and starting to morph in as we see Ling Bane Hydra moving up the map. I mean, this is what you want to do as Ling Bane Hydra play. You want to be the player who gets aggressive, but the problem is you're generally meant to do that off of a better economy. 24 workers down, kind of 3.5 base because the base that Solar has as his 4th is not actually a full base. It's not where you want to be trading with Ling Bane Hydra against Protoss. But what does he do? If he tries to tech up, he dies to this army. If he tries to just sit back and drone, he probably dies to the army. There's no real right decision right now, so I kind of like the idea of just hoping Hero really messes up this fight.
And I like Hero's army positioning for one easy fact. The fact that the Zerg, if they can get themselves between the 3rd and 4th base of Protoss, it's not easy for Protoss to actually deal with that situation, that position. But Solar is circumnavigating all of that and going straight to the jugular, going for the natural, seeing if he can find damage there.
Well, he is in there. Mothership Core will try and buy a little bit of time. Immortal and Archon coming in as well to help out. And Hero is able to rotate around. A few Lings into the main. Again, another 8 probes killed. I mean, over the course of this game, Solar's killed quite a lot of workers. It really is adding up. But again, Hero is still at 70 workers against the 50 of Solar. What do you do about that? As we see a Warp Prism just about staying safe. And Hero this time rotating around in time to make sure he will not allow Solar to get in between that 3rd and 4th, as you were talking about.
I mean, as you're saying about the workers, it's unfortunately for Solar, a window is closing, right? He just doesn't have the army capability to keep up with the potential of Storm in this army. He needs to find some damage now and soon, and he is actually flooding into the main base of natural.
Yeah, he's starting to do. He just killed a couple High Templar full of energy as well as some Banes, and that's a good start. I mean, Hero doesn't have that many Storms left in the army, and I mean, here he goes. Solar's going to push in, but there's just too many Immortals, too many Archons. And we're going to see those Hydras and Lings and Banes backing away. But in the main base, they get an Immortal, 8 workers once again. And Solar is still just finding ways to counterattack. Hero is not plugging the wall. He's not very good defensively, but he is very good offensively, as we do see a big warp into the 3rd. And here we go. Hero is going to force Solar to defend all over the place once again.
His army's gained a lot of momentum as well here as Hero on the right-hand side against this 4th base. The Banelings and Hydras aren't going to be enough to really shut down that many Archons as well as the Storm coming in. Those Banelings don't really do too much against that, and that is going to be GG. Hero will take game number 1 there after quite a back-and-forth harassment-based game.
I really love that first-person view right at the end there because it was such a perfect way to see how, because Hero was in the main in the 3rd base, Solar had to check over there, and as soon as he goes back to the main army, you can see he's just lost to a Storm that he just wasn't there for.
Yep.
And that's something Protoss players have to be able to do against Zerg just to stop them. I mean, it works both ways, you know, distract the other guy, get myself in there, do the damage, and just make better fights myself.
Got to be a bit annoying there for Solar for losing that first game. And you could see that a lot of the construction of the tactics that he was going in with was focused around those Baneling drops, those Ling drops, constantly trying to keep Hero back. But for a lot of the time, it was unsuccessful. The DTs did so much damage in the early game to really set him back.
And I think that's such a key part of this first game. If I actually look at the rest of this game, I actually think if we didn't go into this with like a... if we didn't go into this with like Solar being so far behind,
yeah,
I think Hero is in a lot of trouble, man.
Yes,
like Solar stays in that game after losing his main, his spawning pool. He held off an attack with like it was insane, like how much Solar managed to do off of being so far behind early. So I'm a little bit worried about Hero going into game 2, because I'm sure this time around Solar's not going to be like, okay, I'm just going to let my hatchery and my main base die. He'll be a little bit more careful. He doesn't want to lose the same way twice. That said, the dangerous part about playing Hero, he has a lot of different tricks up his sleeve. He'll probably throw something very different out here going into game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, especially since he's 1 game up in a best of 3. Why on earth not? If you've got a game in hand, whereas we're just waiting for the lobby to get going in a moment's time. Make sure to hashtag IEM as well as WCS and keep that chat going. You can talk to us on Twitter as well. And we always love receiving your tweets here. We know it's early in the Western world to actually tune into this tournament, but thank you very much if you are so far.
Early, I'd say more late.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're talking to a bunch of StarCraft nerds on the internet.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty late for a lot of those guys right now.
I don't know, maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I just go to my bedtime's like 10:38 p.m. I'm like, no, I can't. No. I'm getting old and rickety. It's a bad time.
Oh, as the years go by. It was your birthday a couple of days ago, man. Another birthday in China.
Don't remind me. Out of the last 4 years, I think 3 of them have been celebrated in China every single time.
Don't you just love it here?
Actually, you know what? I think every single time we come here, it's very, very hot, very, very warm, and I'm always like, oh my God, I can't deal with it. But this time around, I've come in with a really good positive attitude, and I'm like embracing the heat, and it's going well.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Yeah.
You're like, I know when I walk out here at 7 a.m., I'm going to melt my face off, so let's just go do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Nothing can stop me. All right, our second map here is going to be Ascension to Aya. Now, this is a great one for the Zerg. It's so difficult for the Protoss to take a 4th base. It's so easy to split your army up between bases as a Zerg player. And we did see Hero having a bit of trouble rotating his army around to deal with Solar there on Sequencer. So this could be Solar's map. This could be his chance to tie this up 1 apiece.
We're at a busy China Joy here in Shanghai as we get into game number 2. Spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner in the blue, representing Team Root, it is Hero. Looking good in that first game. A very heavy commitment to the early game there. Able to trump against this man to the top left.
Yeah, and the top left-hand side from Splyce, we do have Solar, who's going to be hoping he can do all of those bits and pieces that he did in the last game without having to play from so far behind.
Yeah. If the game goes even from that early game, then Solar, as you say, definitely in the driving seat there.
Especially on this map as well, where if the Zerg has the momentum, it's so hard for the Protoss. On Sequencer, it's kind of a weird one, because we even saw when Hero lost a bit of momentum, Solar couldn't do anything about it. It was so large to get across. Yeah. And also, every time you're fighting as a Zerg on Sequencer, there's so many choke points to deal with. So even when Hero was out of position, he's suddenly pushing into a choke point to get the position back, and that just makes his life so much easier.
Yeah, we've seen Lingbane Hydra really force the issue a lot on this map into the 3rd base, being able to kind of crush those locations. Up to the top right of this map is probably where we're going to see that as a focal point. They are all around these areas. And those 2 ramps up at the top, as well as this one, are very important for the Protoss to control, because generally you end up in a situation where you don't have as big as army as the Zerg. They are going to out-macro you into that mid-game.
Yeah, that's exactly the issue on this map, because you've got to think about those ramps up there, but even the ramp just outside the natural allows the Zerg to get in between the natural and the 3rd base. Yeah. So you've got to really be able to split your army up, and that's one of the most difficult things as a Protoss player, whether you're playing against drops of a Terran or this mass sort of unit style of the Zerg, which you have to just be so on point with, otherwise you can so quickly fall apart.
So let's see what Solar's going to approach with, already getting his gas in, probably get his speed going in just a few moments' time, whilst Mothership Core has been started on the other side for Hero. And he's getting out his first Stalker here. He's trying to shoo away Overlords if he can find them, but there's a few spaces that they can hide.
This is super safe from Hero, by the way. The Nex is only just now going down after the Mothership Core. This is very, very late, and I wonder if this probe going out right now is going to head towards the 3rd base and put some pylons down. It sounds ridiculous, but so often in PvZ nowadays, we see no Mothership Core until way later, like after Twilight Council, etc. So to see one so early is very, very interesting. It's not quite what you would usually expect. And again, just a late natural in general for Hero is very, very weird here. So I'm not sure what his game plan is. I'm not sure what he's going for. But, well, there's a Robo coming down. Still very interesting, because so far he could have done this off of just going Gate Nexus Core, where instead he invested into so much instead.
Not exactly the most common spot for that probe to be hidden down towards the bottom either, as the Overlord will end up dying. There's no Lings on the way to try and kind of get revenge onto that Stalker. And even the overcharge there to make sure that Link does not get into the main base. Really wanted to make sure that that Robo facility was hidden away from Solar.
Yeah, this faster Robo, you've got to wonder about what kind of aggression this is going to be, honestly. I mean, maybe a Warp Prism into an Immortal, or maybe an Immortal into a Warp Prism and bringing it across the map. There's so many kind of different ways, but it's definitely going to be a way in which Hero is trying to slow Solar down. We'll see how much he really commits into it. Oh, the Robo base so quick.
I was thinking about it, because the thing is that normally when you see a Robo going down this early, there'd be a Twilight Council with it or something like that. So why would you only have a Robo facility with not really any extra gateways added on beyond the 2 that have just gone down now? So Robo Bay coming down. This is cool.
Very, very unique. Probably looking towards Disruptor drops here. It's just something you don't oftentimes see in PvZ. It's something you see sometimes in PvT. It's a very fun build. It's very maneuverable. You get to do a lot with it. It's very fun to kind of watch the response of both players. So that's going to be kind of exciting as we see that Warp Prism finishing up in just a few seconds till the Robo Bay is done. And so far, Hero's done a perfect job of hiding this. And no overload speed this game from Solar means that he really doesn't know what this is at all. As you see, the first 3 Adepts just going to move out, have a little bit of a poke and prod, try and force some units out right away.
And Warp Prism speed coming down as well. So, as I say, that Warp Prism going to be very, very fast. Let's see how these Disruptors are going to fare. You already mentioned that, you know, Hero can mix in some more tricky builds, something you're not likely to expect.
Yeah.
And it's going to be up to the units for Solar to pressure the Disruptor when the Purification Nova happens. Because if you can force it to be lifted up into the Warp Prism again, then that will nullify the Purification Nova completely. It won't go off.
Look how much map control Solar has. He sees outside the natural. He sees the Warp Prism right away here. He's got Lings at the 3rd. He's got both Watchtowers, and now he's moving through the middle. He's definitely looking to try and cancel that 3rd base. But I don't think he realizes there's a Disrupt in that Prism, and he doesn't see the speed just yet.
He feels it must be DTs, right? Because he's throwing down the Spore Crawler. So why would he need detection or something like that? Unless he was trying to zone out the Warp Prism, but that was just weird. That's not the case here. So he's going to be very careful here.
This Prism just flies straight over to Queens. He can get away with this because of the speed. Here comes the Disruptor. Great pull away, though, and that's going to do absolutely nothing.
Very well done. A lot of damage done on that Warp Prism. Repositioning of the Spore Crawler as well as the Queens. Twilight Council and Forge going down behind this. Hero realizes that the initial plan for this harassment isn't going quite that well.
Yeah, and Hero did, though, at the same time, get his 3rd base up here, and he saved it against those Zerglings. You know, these Zerglings are actually kind of funny because there's no reason to have this many Lings against the number of Adepts that have harassment. As we see the Disruptor again, just 1 kill, and he can't get it back. Can he? He's going to try. Just about gets away with it. Wow. Playing with danger, but look at the Banes morphing in for Solar. He's going to attack this 3rd base. He wants to break this position. I mean, there's a pylon up. There's actually 3 pylons up, and he is starting a wall. Is Hero ready?
Overcharge is going to have to go down instantly here, as well as those Adepts need to split, but they're not in the best position to actually split against that. The Banes is going to bring down one of the pylons. Overcharge on the back as well, while the Sentry tries to keep itself alive with that force field. The Lings next to it have died off.
This is so nice by Hero. Look at that defense, man. The Overcharge in the back. He's got the Disruptor just to help out. And this force field was so well positioned. He baited the Lings into the mineral line, brought the rest of his units forwards, and then all of a sudden, those Lings are trapped. What a defense by Hero. Absolutely no issue at all. And that's a big commitment from Solar. That's a lot of gas you wouldn't usually need to spend at this stage of the game. It's a lot of Lings, which you've now lost and you have to rebuild to defend with. That didn't really do anything at all.
The only thing I'm concerned about for Hero on the other side, and, you know, I'm not the true proviso and expert of this game anymore by any means, but all of the gas that you invested into the Robo Bay, the Disruptor, those extra sentries, has slowed down his +1 quite a lot, as well as, you know, any upgrades quite a lot. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the +1 on Blink's very late. I mean, you can already see +2 melee coming up for the Zerg player. What is very interesting from Solar is that he doesn't have a Hydra Den yet, so he's playing pure Ling Bane. He's actually going to go for an Infestation Pit, which opens up so many opportunities, and maybe we're going to see Solar play something which he really made popular against Protoss again more recently, which is the Swarm Host style, which could be very, very interesting to see again. This Disruptor really not doing that much, I have to say, and this Prism is just about going to sneak away. I mean, we talk about what he invested in, and I agree, the Robo Bay is very expensive, the Disruptor's expensive, but the Disruptor's still going to give you some value. The Warp Prism speed, you'll still get value out of, so it's really only the Robo Bay, and sure, it's so slowed down some of the bits and pieces, but he still does have an extra Disruptor to harass with, and he has forced a lot of units out because of it, as these Banes, though, going to roll on in.
Barely even rolling, just
There you go.
Wandering in.
Rolled at the end. Wandering on in as we're going to see some Stalkers mid-map. And actually, Hero getting aggressive here. Solar just now throwing down the Spire. What a weird setup from Solar. Makes the Infestation Pit, does nothing with it. Pureling Bane with +1 and Blink about to finish on this push for Hero. He's in a little bit of trouble, I think, Solar.
Yeah, with the Spire going down as well. I mean, there's either the potential that he says, okay, we're going to fight and then I'm going to cause a base trade if he wants to go mutas, or he was getting the Infestation Pit to try and get the Hive as fast as possible and really transition fast. But he realizes this is a huge army on his doorstep right now with the Lings on the other side here. Do they get that before the Purification Nova goes off? The Lings are still wrapping around this. Banelings can't get in at the front here.
Well, so far this has been a very interesting fight. There was Overlord getting sniped down, so the Banes didn't do as much, but now the Lings and Banes are able to connect, and Hero's going to be absolutely destroyed to the point of GG. Solar does tie it up, and I'm surprised, honestly. I did not think he was ready enough for that attack.
It was ambitious, actually, on the other side, really, by Hero. The game plan as a whole, right? When he goes for that push, he doesn't really have the upgrades to really complement it against, what was there, +2? On the
I think +2 was on the way. I don't think it's quite finished.
Oh, okay.
But he did just finish +1 and Blink, so it wasn't like a bad timing for him. And what was really surprised me is he did so well. He actually sniped down both Overlords with the Banes inside. They didn't drop out at all. His force fields initially were very good. It's just there were so many Zerglings, and maybe he wasn't just quite expecting that.
All right, well, we're going to head over to the analysis desk here as we are currently 1-1 between Hero and Solar.
Thanks, guys. Okay, here we go. Roddy, fill us in. Time versus Sue. Once again, the Chinese players showing up.
Absolutely. I mean, game number 1, I was a little worried. I was like, God, it's a massacre. He's not ready. But he was looking good. At the later stage of game 1, game number 2, sick. Like, actually got some nerd chills. I was like, oh my God, this young Chinese Terran, he's just wrecking Sue. Like, he absolutely demolished him game 2. I'd love to show highlights later. But let's focus on game 3, because this game could end real soon. Look at time supply. I think it's promising. He's making a very big push right now. Obviously, Sue's buying time for Ultras and the big upgrades. But I think it's safe to say that it's almost like now or never. And this is going to be hard for Sue.
Oh my God. That is a big push.
That's your saying right here, Artosis. So many Banelings, big bundles though. That's a cleanup there for Sue, I think, but a reinforcement from Times and a little bit of damage. I think Sue might have stabilized here from this push though. Looked very dangerous for Time, but I mean, Sue's the master, man. He's such a good Zerg.
He's playing kind of a cool style, by the way. 3 factory siege tank against this Hydroling Bane stuff, but as those Ultras come out, the tanks are not going to have as much value, that's for sure.
Maybe
Thank God they all died.
Maybe he got a little over-eager there, right? Because he has quite a few units at home. Just imagine if he has a few more tanks. Against any Terran with 3 factories, like you just pointed out, Dan, I don't think you're just supposed to be able to roll in with your Zerglings and Banelings, especially, you know, one angle. But, you know, this has been a cool series. The main series has been very cool. Solar Hero, some really explosive games. I think kind of what we predicted. But I'm loving this as well. And I'm really happy for Time that despite a very, you know, rough game 1, he showed up in game 2. And at least, you know, this game is not over yet, but game 3 is competitive.
Yeah, and I want to point out, by the way, that Time considers TVZ by far his worst matchup. He feels much better in TVT and TVP. He was very happy with his GSL group because of that. Wasn't able to make it out still, but fighting against who we consider to be basically the best Zerg in the world right now. And, I mean, he's not lost. Look at the supply, as our friend would say.
This game is not over yet. I'll promise you then I'll keep a close eye on it because I think we still have an awesome game 3 coming up on the mainstream. But obviously, I'll show you guys the final moments, and I also love to show you guys later that 1 minute of absolute domination of game 2 because nerd chills, Dan, nerd chills.
Oh, my God. Time really showing up today. So I think we'll jump to a commercial break so we can quickly get back into Solar vs. Hero. And of course, Roddy keeping us up to date. Thanks, Roddy.
Anytime.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai as we get into Solar versus Hero, game number 3. That's right, it's down to the wire here for our first series of the group. I'm joined by Wardy as we head into Odyssey.
What a fantastic series so far. Explosive play, as they said on the desk, from both players, and it really is true. It's been fantastic. As we do have to the bottom right-hand side from Root, it is Hero.
On the hunt for his 4th Intel Extreme Masters trophy, but it's going to be a tall task as he goes up against, up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. Representing Splice, it is Solar.
And I have to say, after hearing that Time is doing pretty good against Sue, I would not want to be the loser of this matchup.
No, absolutely not. It's amazing how we've seen our Chinese players who genuinely came in as the wild cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just look great.
Can you imagine both Chinese players advance to the round of 8? That would be absolutely insane.
And then they had to play each other.
Time finishes first as group, knocks out Ayasonu next round. Like, no!
I mean,
why?
There's always 2 ways to look at it. It's like, oh, one goes away, but at least one's guaranteed top 4. But
yeah, that's true. That's true.
that would have to be a top finish for Time in this group, which is absolutely stacked.
All right, well, in this game, Hero has opened up a bit differently. From last game, delaying his Nexus as long as possible, more or less, to this game, going Nexus first, following up with the double gateway. A lot you can do from here, whether it's a couple of Adepts to harass with early, or whether it is just kind of a Stalker Sentry to play safe, poke away Overlords. So many possibilities, but it's a strong, economic-focused opening that we did see from stats yesterday. This was an opening used before going for a cheeky 8-gate. So, you know, it's something which can really develop into anything, but rolling the dice a little bit, making, you know, saying, oh, maybe Solar 12 pulls me. I don't think so, but he's gone away with it. Solar just playing standard hatch gas pool. And Hero did actually sneak this probe around to the 3rd base to keep an eye on this going down potentially.
Yeah, not too bad at all. So he can kind of gain metrics off when that goes down, and he could even potentially block it for a moment or time here, as Solar just getting himself that speed up and running. Drone's heading on out. And as you mentioned, Hero's got a lot of options available to him. Oh, Pneumatized Carapace coming out as well, so he really wants to know what Hero is going to be up to as fast as possible.
Honestly, I was talking to a lot of the top European Zergs at Home Story Cup, and they're all just like, well, why wouldn't you build Pneumatized Carapace?
Right,
like,
yeah.
The cost is so low that you're at least going to save your Overlord scouting, whether you, even if against a Stargate, you know, you pull it back against a Phoenix or something. So there's so much value to it, and Solar going forward here, looking to be pretty good as he does sneak a Ling in, so he's going to get that scouting anyways, even without the Overlords. And there is a Twilight Council for him to spot. I'm not sure where exactly the Twilight Council is. Is it in the main? It's in the natural, so he's already seen it then. All right, thank you, Mapu, for showing us the Twilight Council.
I mean, overall, yeah, it's great for scouting. It's a short cooldown upgrade or whatever. And then, obviously, we have the Overlord drop play that we've seen Solar utilize to great effect. I mean, as much as in that first game, he did lose.
Yeah.
He killed so many probes.
Yeah, it's a great reason to get Pneumatized Carapace as well, because the drop play is so key to so many Zerg's playstyle. We talked at the end of the first game about distracting your opponents. That's what the drops do. Already an Eva Chamber finishing up as well, so probably for the +1 melee as soon as we see the Bayonets coming down as well. From Hero though, Resonating Glaives, the choice, kind of expected. If you open 2 gates and then build Adepts already, and you've got a Twilight Council down, you're expecting those Adepts. You're going to have 6 to 8 to push across the map with when Glaives finishes, and that's going to be a very powerful attack. And you can see Solar already preparing for it, deciding to go just for Ling Bane, but that's plenty if the Bane Nest is down early enough as it is here.
I'm surprised that Hero going up against Solar didn't think about going for like a Stargate early, so that, yes, you would have that Oracle for a little bit of harassment early, but then there's the potential you could mix in a Phoenix to then shut down this drop play, because there's already one down to the bottom, getting set up and good to go into the main base. And looking at Solar's game plan against Protoss, I don't think that's going to change in this tournament. I think he's going to stick with this quite heavily. I
think the main thing is this drop is starting to unload in the main, is that there's also on Odyssey, there's so much space around the left side of the main. With one Phoenix, it's very difficult to actually kind of find it. As we
this
see.
timing's
yeah, that's brilliant.
Bad.
Absolutely perfect by Solar. Here we go.
Oh my god, and he saw it with the Overlord at the front. He knew exactly when to go in, as we're going to have the overcharge actually get themselves in position and shut that down just a little bit.
Oh, that's actually perfect by Hero. He lost nothing. Pros pulled off the line for a few seconds. Let's see if Soul's got enough of it. I'm pretty sure he does. He's got a couple of Banes all ready to go. He's got the Lings coming in. And sometimes you don't even need that many Banes. If you've got Banes to force the split of the Adepts, then the Lings get the force around, which means they do so much more damage. So that's really what you're aiming for with the Banes here. Is you can see that Hero isn't happy pushing in. He's seen how many units there are. And back at home, this time we're going to see, for the first time in the series, a faster Robo Forge and a later game setup.
It's a lot of Adepts, but there is the cleanup potential here. Solar in the main base, he's got quite a lot of links as well as some banelings crashing into that. Some of those adepts are very low. There's a few more left over, but here come more links to reinforce. And eventually, this will get pushed back. This was a big investment of adepts that didn't get many drones.
Yeah, at least he traded out with the army, though. You know, I mean, drones are the ideal solution, but hey, if you kill an army, he has to make more lings, which is then less drones. You can see the work count 50 against 50. Hero's going to be plenty happy with that. So far, looking pretty good. Resources loss is fairly even. I don't think Aether player is really concerned with how this has gone.
All right, Robo finishing up. +1 blink on the way here for Hero. Back as these adepts once again looking for an angle. Can't find anything. Gonna have to shade away.
Doesn't lose a single one there. Nice little timing as we do see that pylon being found to the top side. Solo just gonna figure out where are those adepts coming from. You know, he had a scout in the main. He knows there wasn't a row. It can't be a prism this early. So good information. Prism now on the way. And again, +1 and blink, a similar follow-up to what we saw in the last game. So we'll see if it's maybe a bit more successful this time around for Hero. As I'd say this game's been going good for Hero, you know, he's been shutting things down. He didn't open with sort of, like you said last time, that Disruptor and so on, which did delay things a bit.
Yeah.
Which may have influenced his attack not being as successful. And, well, look at this, super fast second Robo and a Robo Bay. Hero is really committing into something here to try and shut down these incoming Hydras.
Ramping it up, but the Mothership Core is not in the main base, neither are many units at all. The Lings are going to get through onto those sentries, but the big tail is going to be in the main in a moment as those Banelings are going to try and go for that mineral line. Even Lings sneak through. So anything that's weak on these Stalkers, can they shut it down before it does much? The Overlord is dead. Those Banelings are trying to find an area, but the probes have been evacuated. Good responses by Hero.
Yeah, Hero really not allowing himself to take any damage here. There's still 2 Banelings he has to deal with, and even losing that health on the sentries could be big, but he does shut them down. And well, that Robo Bay is finished up. So far, just Namol in production. I'm really interested because Colossus play is so hit and miss nowadays. If it's scouted, I think Zerg players can deal with it so easily. But if Hero is able to hide this, which he hasn't, then I'm not really too sure how successful this is going to be because, you know, once you see that Colossus coming out, there's so much you can do. You can invest into the Spire, which is what Solo's going to do here for Corruptors. I mean, I just don't know if the Colossi alone are going to be enough, as we see Warp Prism not going to be successful in finding damage either.
The thing is that the second Robo is on the 3rd, and it hasn't been spotted just yet, but Solar is almost bound to eventually go over there, harass a little bit, spot that, and then have a good understanding of how many Colossi he's going to potentially be facing.
Ooh, the Warp Prism goes down. That's one of the worst things to happen for a Protoss player, because all of a sudden now, the Zerg is not worried about anything back at home until a new Prism is out. The last thing you want to do as a Protoss is delay your Colossus production to build a brand new Prism.
Absolutely.
So this is really bad for Hero. He loses map control, potential Colossus production time. He has to pick one or the other, and Solar throws down that Infestation Pit as well. Another drop in Overlord 2. He is not letting up this attack.
No, not at all. They're setting up for the gold base here now is Hero as well. As I feel like he's probably just going to stick with that Colossus production, not go for that Warp Prism, you know, as you said, it would eventually slow it down. The Colossus production itself, as soon as Thermal Lance is done, has a good potential of being able to hold off Ling, Bane, Hydra for a while, up until that Spire is really like in a good spot to get really running up.
I wonder what he does off the Infestation Pit here right away, whether he just goes straight for the Hive. I mean, against Colossi, especially Vipers, can be so useful with those Abducts. I mean, later game tech as well, so just going towards the Brutals is also a positive, and considering he has the Infestation Pit down, you have to expect something coming in off of that. This Hero is just moving around his base to try and shut down some Lings here and there, and these Banes loading up again. I mean, this has again been Solar throughout. That Pneumatized Carapace from very early has been so worthwhile for him.
So the Overlord is going to be just going in between these 2 bases. There's nothing in the main to defend. Where is he going to send these Banelings? All going into natural.
I mean, it can still do damage. Let's see if Hero sees it, as we do see the pull away. Colossus turns around. Oh, no! What was that? Hero! 16 workers! For no reason, he just turned around.
Could he have gotten out the other way? With that Robo and the Cybercore? I think he was blocked in. So he had no real choice.
Wow, that's really lucky for Solo, I think, in a lot of ways, because Hero responded in time, but he's been done by his own SimCity. As now Hero going to go across the map, and well, is this attack going to be enough? He's got 4 Colossus in his army. He's got the Prism there to reinforce now as well, but already 8 Corruptors out, a lot of Lings, a lot of Banes, a lot of Hydras. this could be difficult. One hallucinate Colossus in the front to try and spice things up, try and just buy the real Colossi a bit more time. Here we go, great force fields.
The Corruptors are coming in from the right-hand side, so that hallucination isn't really doing the job that it's meant to, focusing down the important Colossi here, and there is a good set of force fields actually shutting down a lot of that position, but Lings and Banelings have got through on the right-hand side, and they're going to be able to shut down this army completely. It falls down for Hero.
What are you meant to do? The Robo-Bay gets scouted, Solar knows what it's going to be, the Corruptors are here in plenty of time, and he's just completely destroyed this army. And of course, Hero, having just lost 16 workers as well, has been having to rebuild his economy a little bit, so he's even going to struggle to rebuild right now. And now here on Odyssey, Ling Bane Hydra is just going to absolutely destroy this. Hero does not have the tech he needs. GG, Solar goes to the winner's match.
Impressive stuff there as Solar takes out the 3 times Intel Extreme Masters champion in Hero. And I want to go back to that Baneling attack that we actually saw into the natural where things were stuck. As much as we say that's unfortunate for Hero, I feel like Solar must have identified that that was a complete wall. Because, I mean, why would you choose to go down to the natural? He'd already seen all the architecture, and then there was no path to retreat out. So all these small things that Solar was doing during that game have really, really kind of crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's.
I feel this was exactly as we sort of thought it was going to go after game 1. You know, it was like if Hero doesn't find the early lead, which he didn't in game 2, he did nothing. Game 3, he didn't really do anything either. Solar's EVP looked absolutely spectacular once he was in an okay position to actually play from and not playing from behind. So really well done by Solar. 2-1 here, and he goes into that winner's match, which could be so important considering how that other matchup was going between Su and Time.
Rare we get to see that kind of build come out from a Protoss as well against a Zerg. I mean, it happens from time to time, obviously, but it's not the build that everyone says, yes, this is the Zerg killer, right?
Yeah.
Colossi aren't exactly in that spot right now in the meta.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, the other week in GSL, Dark lost to some Colossus play, but he really just didn't see it coming, and all of a sudden, like 5-6 Colossi show up, he's like, yo, my Lings and Banes aren't going to do so great right now. So it can work, but you really can't have it scouted, especially when you're just about to start building the... I mean, he saw it before the Robo-Bay was finished, so Solar just has so much information and so much time to respond to it. Brilliant play, brilliant ZVP in well-deserved position in that next round. So Solar looking good, Hero. Again, a little bit hit and miss, I think. So reliant on just being ahead early to be able to play this.
All right, well, congratulations to Solar for the game number 1 victory. We're going to go to a short break here at the Intel Extreme Masters, and when we're back, more StarCraft action.
Hello and welcome back to IEM Shanghai 2017 Day 2 Group Stage post-game interview. Standing beside me is the first player to advance to the winner stage. It is Solar. Solar, amazing match. One thing that I was really impressed was your Warp Prism taking down skills. And your Warp Prism, Hero was working really hard to get some harassments done, do a bunch of stuff so that you're thrown off your game, but you didn't let that happen at all.
I think Hero was in best condition, so I can snipe his Warfrism well. Also, I make a lot of queens to catch it, so it's work. That's all.
Yeah, it definitely did work. And another thing, it seemed like it was a unison concept throughout your entire game was your bailing drop. Even in game 2, it didn't look good, but you ended up, a couple of the bailing drops really worked well, and it made Hero to just tap out.
Bailing drop is really useful in ZBP. Also, Hero's style is like very aggressive, so I try to run by always. That was my concept for against Hero, yeah.
I see. So, Solar, how are you dealing with the Shanghai's solar radiation?
It's really hard, and I want to play game because it's really hard. I want to finish my match as soon as possible.
All right, I'll let you go. Thank you very much, Solar. Back to you, Castus.
All right, thanks so much, Zest. All right, Roddy, what we have going on, right? I mean, come on, look at him.
Yeah.
So we had that match finish up, Suver's Time. Unfortunately, Time did lose 1-2, but it was a good match, right?
Absolutely, it was a fun series. I mean, like I said, game number 1, a little bit of a massacre, and I was like, oh man, this is not going well for him. But game 2, he was awesome, and it was really cool to see. And he just showed there, it's like, guys, I actually belong on this level, you know? This is not weird seeing me go up against Su. And I've got the final moments of game 3, because we showed you guys game 3, and obviously it looked pretty exciting. It looked like it was still a game, and you could say it was to some degree, as I mean, he is maxed out, but if you take a look at the army composition, 57 Marines, 0 Marauders, you know, 13 tanks.
You know, I was telling Koka backstage, look at the supply, because he was max against Max in 125 army to 108. He's like, yeah, look at the attack move and then look at the supply.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't wrong, Todd, because a couple of Liberators do siege up, a few of the tanks were coming in, but Su waited for his ultras, and then Su's like, you know, I remember what you did to me in game number 2. Let me just show you what it feels. He waits for +3, and he's like, all right, here we go. Todd, keep a close eye on that supply, because it's plummeting.
He didn't even come from multiple sides, too.
No, well, like, his Infestors flanked with those fungals. Those were sick. And 3-3 finishing against 2-2. Oh.
Yeah, 132 against 186.
Did you see those Medivacs escaping, though? His Medivacs taking out skills definitely weren't up to par.
So then we had Ultras working on 1 planetary, and Su is like, you know, a little icing on the cake, couple of Blade Links, put his on a planetary, and obviously Time knew what time it was. The only time to GG out. As Su does take that first series, but it was fun. It was really cool to see awesome games. An early game, I think game 3, obviously we couldn't show everything, but there was a triple medevac actually drop with 2 tanks on the low ground, and he made one big mistake where he unsieged both tanks, and Su rolled in with a couple slow banes, and I think if he would have executed that attack a little bit better, it could have even been a closer game.
This was good play from Time overall, and again, this is his weakest matchup. He was talking about that. We saw him take games off of like Deer, for instance, over in Korea at GSL.
So are you worried for Hero?
We might not have any Protoss on day number 3.
Yeah,
we're done.
It's really weird with Hero because there's some things that he does that he just looks so good. Like I thought that going Colossus in the 3rd game was going to be a great idea up until the point it was like, well, you've lost the Prism and then Corruptors are just going to counter the Colossi, which was really a great idea, an adjustment from Solo. I think a lot of Zergs might have just choked and died. They would have tried to get to Viper and they would have died just before reaching those. But Hero, it's weird. Like I said, like he shows good things, but then he loses War Prisms like in a really sloppy way. Like that really surprised me. That first one with the Archons, I think it was Sequencer, and then later on again on the last map. This is not supposed to happen from a player of the caliber of Hero.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think that you guys are being a little bit critical of him because this is a Protoss that thrives in chaos, right? Like, this is the situation he wants to be in where it's down and dirty and messy, and he's going to outplay you, out-multitask you, out-micro you in those spots. And sometimes everything goes wrong and you lose your prisms, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say anything. I think it was a fun series, kind of what we predicted, I think. It was going to be messy. It was going to be dirty. I mean, after game number 1, I was like, damn, Hero, I knew you were dirty, but I didn't know you were disgusting like this. Because he's just wiping in 4 DTs and then 3 more DTs. I think it's kind of what we expected, and Solar was just more solid in the end, taking down that series. And I am definitely a little bit worried about Euroboy and obviously one of the last Protosses, because Time looked good against Su, and if Time is better against Protoss than he is against Zerg, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a very tough series for Hero. I mean it.
You definitely could be right about that. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break so we can get into the next games. Good job, guys.